Now I know why prosecutors did not charge him. And remember, they spoke to him back in 2010 when they were investigating this murder. Okay, they spoke to him, they investigated him. They didn't charge him, despite him now coming forward and saying, I am the guy who did this. Now, despite all that, there was another moment today that was actually more important for the defense. And believe it or not, was really good for the defense because there was DNA found in the home of Brandy Peters from an actual drug runner. Take a listen.
Mr. Avila Quinones at VWA is 1718. Okay. So out of these four alleles, there is a 17 and 18. So he would be included there. And there are no alleles that are stars. So this is one that could be used for statistics.
Angel Avila Quinones, an actual drug runner who actually did time in prison for drugs, was actually deported from the country at one point, is now apparently overseas in Italy, not living in the United States. So this, much more important, much more credible than what Santos was talking about today. I mean, he just, at least to me, you may have a different opinion, everyone else may have a different opinion. Let's check in with CourtTV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who was in the courtroom for all of this testimony today.
Vinnie, the defense efforting to raise reasonable doubt by pointing the finger at alternate suspects, particularly the Colombian drug trafficker whose DNA was found at the crime scene in Brandy Peters' room on the cradle of the phone in her room. And this afternoon they called multiple DNA analysts, first being Kevin Noppinger, who was able to confirm that it was the Colombian national's DNA, and then Joe Ellen Brown, a state's witness, to also put a fresh perspective on this sample of DNA, telling this jury through all of this that this was someone's DNA tied to a drug cartel. It all goes to the defense's theory that this was a drug cartel hit, on top of Carlos Santos' testimony earlier in the day, who also brought up Angel's name as someone that he knew, that he met a couple of times, that he worked with through the Colombian cartel trade, and Santos even said he was one of the 7 who was supposedly supposed to carry out the hit against Brandy Peters. Well, this may not be the last time that this jury hears the name of Angel, because this attorney in this case could also bring in his testimony from a prior hearing to maybe answer some other questions this jury may be having. Vinnie, we'll just have to stay tuned. We'll send it back to you.
Unbelievable, amazing day. And DNA is DNA. It is what it is. It is compelling evidence. What was it doing there in Brandy Peters' apartment or in her home? What does it mean? I don't know, because Santos is making no sense to me, but DNA makes sense. Let me bring in my think tank. Maybe they can help us out here tonight. In Tallahassee, Florida, criminal defense attorney Mutaki Akbar is with us, and in studio, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Ann Bremner, criminal defense attorney Lauren Zimmerman, and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Ashley McMahan. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Is this it? Is that the definition of reasonable doubt? DNA from a cartel member that's in Brandy Peters' home?
I mean, it's pretty, just like you said, it's pretty hard to argue with scientific evidence that is DNA. I don't think Angel just happened to coincidentally rent the apartment right before the victim did and just got his DNA all over the bedroom, and all over the phone. I mean, that seems ridiculous. And even though Santos may seem like he's having delusions of grandeur, or like he's coming up with a story to make himself seem important, coupled with this DNA evidence from a known drug dealer for a Colombian cartel, I just think it makes him all the more credible in this case.
What does it mean? What does this DNA mean?
It certainly throws in a different direction. I mean, clearly it links up with what Santos is saying, and then you got this Quinones guy, that maybe someone else did the killing. Unless the state could somehow argue that, look, maybe they could admit that this Brandy was involved in drug trafficking and this guy Quinones had been at her house at some point. We don't know how long the DNA's been there for.
I think it's a real quantum leap to put in this whole drug cartel in this case when it's so weak on the evidence itself. And with Santos, I thought it's like they called central casting and they didn't give him a script. I mean, it was laughable. I'd love to see the jurors' faces, especially when he talked about being on the board, but not the chairman or the CEO.
Not the chairman of the board. And there may very well be a board for the vice lords, right? But is this the guy that you would elevate to that level? Mutaki, what are your thoughts here? I mean, how do we reconcile? You've got Santos on the one hand, at least from my perspective, who seems like he is off the wall. But on the other hand, you've got DNA from an actual person who is involved in this world of drug trafficking.
I think it's a huge hurdle for the state to get over with them having such a huge circumstantial case, and then you have this direct evidence of scientific DNA evidence of Avila that's in the room of Brandy Peters, and I mean, as grandiose or as much of a story that Santos' story was, and kind of unbelievable at some points. But the important part of Santos' testimony is that he ties in this other theory. He ties in Avila. He ties in why Brandy is scared, you know, the day before with that letter. And all of that is direct evidence of a completely different theory. And that's the definition of reasonable doubt. So I think it's a huge hurdle for the state to get over with that circumstantial evidence case.
Yeah, and they've got to disprove this. They really have to. It's
right.
It's the backbone of what they have to do here. Here's the thing, though. Here's the problem I have with Santos, okay? Let's focus on him for a second. I have not seen any independent piece of evidence from anywhere linking him to the Vice Lords, to Los Zetos, or those hundreds of thousands of dollars that he has all over the place with these hundreds of women who are running drugs for him all around the country.
Vinny, but you want a perfect witness. And that's actually what I like about Santos. I like that his story, that he seems a little off. Like his story isn't completely buttoned up and
One
presented
second,
with
I've
a
got
ribbon.
criminal defense attorneys here, okay? Have you been involved in a case with a drug kingpin? And did that drug kingpin in any way resemble or sound like Santos?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that,
Explain that to me.
I think, Vinny, what everyone's getting hung up on is what's so unbelievable here is that you have a guy testifying at trial that he actually ordered and did a murder. When in the history of trials has that ever happened?
Harry Mason.
Scott Nelson, earlier on CourtTV.
Okay, but we've never seen this really happen before. And then so he's just talking the way he knows about what goes on. We know as criminal defense lawyers how gangs work, drug cartels work. There are quote-unquote border directors. There are definitely heads of the cartel, like in the mob. And there's
Would this guy
underlings.
be elevated to that level?
What about him? What about him wouldn't be?
Al Capone had
He's
a
never
90
been arrested
IQ.
for drugs.
So what?
He's good.
Low level.
He
like,
was El Chapo until recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was digging tunnels the whole time. He was practically an architect
Yeah, the
on the
beauty
side.
queen wife.
All right, are we? Let me ask you this, Mutaki. Are you bothered at all by the fact that Santos, who said he hired Angel Avila Quinones and met him in Atlanta over at Follies, which is a strip club on Buford Highway, if you've ever been to Atlanta. By the way, but he could not identify him by photo. They had a photo of him. He could not identify him.
I think that's troubling, and I think it goes towards what's believable for Santos and what's not believable for Santos. But I mean, that world, and going back to what you were talking about, that world is a world that I'm sure none of us would know the inner workings of or what's going on in that type of world. And I don't necessarily think every single thing that Santos says has to be believed. And I don't believe that it has to be corroborated either. You know, the jury instructions here in Florida says that the defense does not have to prove or disprove anything. So you can present evidence, but you don't have to corroborate it. And even the jury can take parts of Santos' testimony and leave other parts away. But I think what the most important part of Santos' testimony is that it ties Brandy to this underworld, which is a theory that I still go back to say that I don't think the state can get over and disprove that.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, but I think the thing that's tying her is the DNA. It's not Santos. Coming up, though, Santos' testimony, as you know, was all over the place. He's throwing a lot of names and dates and things. So we are kind of going to break it down for you in a timeline to see if his story makes sense chronologically as to what he did and when he allegedly did it.
Hi, I'm Dana Lash from The Dana Show, and I want to tell you about a really simple thing you can do that helps promote more energy and supports healthy blood pressure levels. This is Super Beets, and I swear by it. It gives me more healthy energy to keep up with my hectic schedule, and you're going to love what it does for you, too.
I could definitely use a little more energy, especially if it's from a natural source like beets.
If I had something natural and healthy that gave me energy, I'd be all in.
Beets contain an essential nutrient that makes them one of the most heart-healthy vegetables in nature. Super Beets concentrates that nutrient into superfood crystals. Super Beets contains real food that helps increase circulation to get more oxygen flowing throughout your body naturally. It supports healthy blood pressure and gives you more healthy energy to make the most of your day.
Find out how to get a free canister with your first order, plus bonus gifts. Call
1-800-866-0117
or go to trysuperbeets.com.
I just mix a teaspoon into a few ounces of water. There's the natural apple flavor or black cherry flavor. It tastes great.
It's really yummy.
It's good flavor. I'm surprised.
It doesn't taste like beets at all.
I'll finish this, by the way.
What if you had more energy? Imagine the possibilities.
You feel strong and you feel healthy and you feel like you can accomplish anything.
If I'm doing the things that I need to do to give me the energy, I feel better, not only physically, but mentally.
So do something good for your heart, your circulation, your blood pressure, and your energy. You'll love Super Beets or your money back.
Call now and find out how to get a free canister with your first order, plus free indicator strips that show how it's working. And shipping is free too.
This Super Beets offer isn't available in stores, so call or go online right now.
Super Beets from Human. Order your Super Beets today. Call
1-800-866-0117
or visit trysuperbeets.com.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance, but she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
20 years ago, millions worldwide discovered a fitness phenomenon, the Ab Doer. Now meet the next generation, Ab Doer 360. It combines an abdominal and muscle activating workout with aerobics to burn calories and work muscles simultaneously.
It's really great to get that cardio workout in while you're also sculpting your muscles.
The secret is the patented core support column that works the major muscles of your midsection. It features breakthrough innovations like the dynamic fluidity seat that engages your abdominal core and burns calories.
I got on that machine the first day and went, this is going to do the job.
In fact, research shows the Ab Doer 360 activates the same muscles as the gold standard crunch, but off the floor in padded comfort. Now it's your turn. The next generation Ab Doer 360 fitness system from Thane.
To get yours now, go online at abdoer360.com or visit these fine online retailers.
What a day. My head is still spinning from the testimony of alleged drug kingpin James Carlos Santos. At least that's who he says he is. Although he's been incarcerated the whole time, has tried to take credit for other murders that he did not commit, including 2 murders where nobody was actually murdered. Anyhow, I want to walk through a little bit of a timeline, try to piece together his testimony and his allegations with my think tank to see if it makes sense. We begin. He's incarcerated in October 13th, 1997 to December 22nd, 2000, and incarcerated at some point in Nevada here. He's then on house arrest in Atlanta in February 2000, 2001, and it was during that time that he claimed credit for the murder of a police officer in Atlanta, but he was never charged. Somebody else was charged and convicted of that murder, okay? Now, Santos, according to his testimony, meets Brandy at the Governor Square Mall in Tallahassee, Florida in 2000 or 2001 and recruits her as a drug runner. At this point in her life, Brandy was 17 or 18 years old. And we don't know at this point where she was actually living at that point of her life. I'm sure in the rebuttal case we may find out more about that. Santos is then again incarcerated in 2003. And then he testified that things were going bad with Brandy sometime between 2008 and 2009. And this is all while he's incarcerated. And he's told that Brandy is stealing money. Take a listen, because we have some testimony of where he explains why his relationship with Brandy had actually soured.
At some point, did you end up directing associates of yours to kill Brandy Peters?
Yes, sir, I did.
And why was that?
She had stolen money and drugs.
Okay. Without going into the nature of any communications, how was it that you found that out?
I contacted an associate of mine, and he informed me.
Okay. Now, you were the one that had brought her into the drug trafficking organization, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the next twist in the timeline here is interesting. Remember, he's incarcerated, but he's in state prison. So he threatens the life of the governor of Florida, Charlie Crist. And the reason he's doing that, according to his testimony, is he wants to get transferred to federal prison. So it'll be easier for him to communicate over the telephone. So he's going to federal prison to communicate over the telephone. Then he's transferred to a federal prison in 2009, and then he claims once he gets to federal prison, then he's able to be in constant contact with Brandy Peters, who is the one who he had recruited as the drug runner, is the victim in this case, and is the one that he had murdered. This is probably some of the most important evidence in the whole case, next to that DNA we've been talking about. He sends a letter to Brandy, November 17th, 2010. And according to the defense attorney who read the outside of the envelope, it seems to indicate that this is a threat on her life, that on the envelope he's saying that, Mr. Mailman, if Brandy and her 3 little angels are in heaven, forward this letter to her there. Okay? November 17th, 2 days before the murder. Okay? Moving forward, Brandy is killed. November 20th, her body is found along with her 3 children. The murder, according to prosecutors, is on the 19th. And then Santos comes forward, or tells investigators in 2010 that he wasn't involved in the killing and it wasn't worth $80,000. Then we flash forward to the first trial, which takes place in 2017. Hung jury, and Segura begins waiting for this retrial. Santos then, we flash forward, changes his story to being involved in Brandy's murder and claims it was due to the stolen money. And then in 2017, 2018, he's writing letters to the judge and to the defense team explaining and confessing to all of this. So, I've got my think tank with me. They represent, it's part of their job, keeps our system of justice working here. From time to time, they may have to represent people involved in or allegedly involved in the world of drugs. Right. Start with you, Lawrence Zimmerman.
I represent a lot of falsely accused people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I honestly.
Let me ask you one thing, because this is important. Getting transferred to federal prison, do federal inmates have more access to cell phones? Is it easy? I know there's cell phones in prison. I know that for a fact. Is it easier in federal prison?
Interesting you just said that, because right before I walked into the studio, a client of mine called me from federal prison just now. Collect on my cell phone, because they're allowed to get out and use the telephone, and even now, they can actually email me as well. So it is actually possible for inmates to get on and use the phone and call people.
Okay. Is it easier to get a cell phone? Like one of those burner phones?
It's a federal prison, not as easy in federal prison.
Okay.
I'm not in federal prison, and I don't accept calls from clients who are using burner phones.
Okay, gotcha. Just wondering if you heard through the grapevine. Mutaki,
in state prisons, it's a lot easier to get burner phones. Yes.
Okay. Mutaki, what are your thoughts about his story that he purposely gets transferred to federal prison by threatening Governor Charlie Crist because he wants easier access to Brandy? Does that make sense to you?
It's strange. It's very strange. But everything that Santos has said on the stand has been strange. I think it does make sense. I think it goes along with his story. I'll say that, as far as how he ended up in the detention center here in Tallahassee. And you know, as far as him having more access to the phone, I get emails. I'm not sure about the cell phone part of it in the detention center as opposed to the prison, but he might have been under the belief that it would be easier for him to have access to the phones to get to the detention center.
All right, how about the time frame here, that things are going bad? So he knows the money's being stolen 2008, 2009. He doesn't order the hit till 2010. Los Zetas, do they wait that long? Do the vice lords wait that long? What are our thoughts there about the timing?
Hey, revenge is a dish best served cold, so, you know.
Right, but he's also saying that he is fearful for his own life because Los Zetas might think that he was the one skimming, so if he doesn't take care of the person, then they're going to come after him. So if he owes the money or drugs to Los Zetas, are they going to wait from 2008 to 2010 for him to resolve this matter?
Well, he did say on the stand that he offered Brandy, I mean, allegedly, in the conversations that he had with Brandy, that he offered her a chance to come up with the money herself or to come up with the drugs or to return it or to rectify the situation. And I don't know how long it took before, the people who he owed money to actually knew about it or would be noticing. Maybe he noticed first and then he, called Brandy kind of like in an, oh God, what do I do moment, trying to grasp at straws and get anything back, wasn't able to do so, and then finally had to call in the big guns.
I just think that honestly, if there's any indication that Brandy really was in the world of drugs and cartel, I think this is a very straightforward case for the defense, even without Santos.
Right, but we haven't had that evidence yet.
Well,
we haven't had any evidence other than the words of Santos that she's connected to the drug world, but we do have the DNA of someone in the drug world. Is that going to be enough?
Well, I think it could be, but I think we've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous, Vinny, with this witness. I mean, if I were defending this case, I would not have him up for very long. I mean, you listen to him.
The defense put him up, had him on and off very quickly. His testimony was not very detailed. It was the cross-examination where a lot of this came out. I saw you shaking your head, Mutaki. Your thought, is that DNA alone going to be enough to link the victim, this mother of three, to the world of drug running?
Well, I think what we got to remember is that the last trial was 8-4, not guilty. And Santos did not testify in that trial. And the testimony that came out was this link of Avila in the house. I mean, and I don't think they got into too many details, but there's a lot more coming out as far as the connection with Brandy and the drug cartel, the connection with Avila, Santos' statement, Santos' letter, as well as now we even have and you mentioned earlier, the DNA testimony that came out today, which I think was a pretty good bombshell by the defense because it came out last night, so the state didn't have the opportunity to prepare for it, but it actually puts Avila in that house, and that was not evidence in the last trial when it was an 8-4. So I think all of it together, the prosecutors like to use this totality of the circumstances statement. I think the totality of the circumstances is looking really good for the defense when you put everything together.
All right, let me ask you something else here, and to the whole think tank here. Let's talk about something that's not relative to reasonable doubt. We know just raising a reasonable doubt is just doing this, and that could be and should be enough under our system. What do we think really happened here? What do we think really went on here?
I mean, I've been saying since day one, as soon as I heard about this case in the very beginning, because it was such a horrible, brutal murder of this woman and her 3 children, that when they arrested the defendant in this case, I'm like, I'm sorry, I got plenty of clients that have way more than $20,000 in back child support on kids. This does not look like how you carry out, taking care of that problem. I mean, she was shot 8 times and then fought back, and then 2 of her children, and the defendant's child drowned in the bathtub, and the other child shot
in the head.
That is not, it just doesn't fit the motive.
Okay, you just told me what it isn't. I'm just trying to figure out what do we think really happened here.
I'm a defense attorney. I'm poking holes.
No. We're beyond that now. We're beyond. Let's presume right now we've poked holes. What really happened here?
It fits a hit by the cartel because they are very brutal and they don't care and they'll kill everybody, including children in a bathtub and kids.
Okay.
Mothers.
Was Santos leading this whole thing, or is he just inserting himself into something that was already happening?
Well, I guess that's the question we'll never really know, but I truly think based on what I've seen so far that it was related to a drug deal or a drug hit.
Maybe you try this case and you don't call Santos, though. 8-4 in the first trial without him. I mean, think about it. And you've got a lesser jury now with only the 6. And then if you did have him on, even in limiting him, limit the cross-examination if you can, because that was a farce, as far as I could tell, watching the prosecutor. I mean, he was having a field day with Santos. So that's unbelievable, right?
This is tough. This is a tough one. All right, you've heard what we had to say about it, what we think about our reaction to this witness and this evidence. How about yours? Coming up next, social media reaction. I'm going to throw it at the think tank, see what they have to say about your comments.
The children were killed because dead men don't talk.
Prosecutors are attempting to prove Henry Segura killed his ex and 3 children over unpaid child support.
Segura, who's been in jail since 2011, says he is innocent.
In a strange twist, another man has confessed to ordering the murders.
James Carlos Santos is a drug trafficker. He orchestrated the murders.
Which of the stories to believe?
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aides, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-497-5903. That's 1-800-497-5903 now.
When you're looking for answers, it's good to have help, because the right information at the right time may make all the difference. At Humana, we know that's especially true when you're looking for a Medicare supplement insurance plan. That's why we're offering 7 things every Medicare supplement should have. It's yours free, just for calling the number on your screen. And when you call, a knowledgeable licensed agent producer can answer any questions you have and help you choose the plan that's right for you. The call is free, and there's no obligation. You see, Medicare covers only about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. The rest is up to you. That's why so many people purchase Medicare supplement insurance plans like those offered by Humana. They're designed to help you save money and pay some of the costs Medicare doesn't. Depending on the Medicare supplement plan you select, you could have no deductibles or copayments for doctor visits, hospital stays, emergency care, and more. You can keep the doctors you have now, ones you know and trust, with no referrals needed. Plus, you can get medical care anywhere in the country, even when you're traveling. With Humana, you get a competitive monthly premium and personalized service from a healthcare partner working to make healthcare simpler and easier for you. You can choose from a wide range of standardized plans. Each one is designed to work seamlessly with Medicare and help save you money. So how do you find the plan that's right for you? One that fits your needs and your budget. Call Humana now at the number on your screen for this free guide. It's just one of the ways that Humana is making healthcare simpler. And when you call, a knowledgeable licensed agent producer can answer any questions you have and help you choose the plan that's right for you. The call is free and there's no obligation. You know Medicare won't cover all your medical costs, so call now and see why a Medicare supplement plan from a company like Humana just might be the answer.
All right, what a reaction to James Carlos Santos today in our newsroom, in the studio, on the air, in the courtroom, and of course on social media. Let's get to your comments. We begin with Diane. I believed him. These types of things are going on every day. I get that some people might find it far-fetched or only something that you'd see in a movie, but the truth is, all you have to do is turn on the news. Santos definitely ordered that hit, and an innocent man has been sitting in jail for far too long. Hashtag free Segura. The jury knows he's been sitting in jail a long time on this. Does the jury take that into consideration, you think, at all?
I think it'd be crazy to say that they
in his
don't.
favor, that he's been in jail for like 8 years.
Oh, I definitely think when he gets acquitted, and I do believe he's getting acquitted in this case, the state of Florida is going to have a lot to answer for on just DNA evidence, how they handle DNA evidence alone in this case. But I think there's going to be a lot that we're going to hear in the news. I don't think this case is going away once we get a verdict.
Does that help him, you think, in the eyes of the jury? They may feel some sympathy for this guy?
Yeah, or credit for time served, so to speak, Vinny, right? I mean, he's been in long enough. If we have reasonable doubt, maybe he's paid his dues.
All right, Raven writing, I think he is saying what he has seen on TV and such, then making it look like he did it. Why would he snitch and rat people out as if he was a board member of this gang? They would make him disappear fast, in my opinion. He's trying to make himself out to be something he isn't. But you never know. Maybe Segura owed cartel money, and they killed his family to send a message like the witness says. It don't matter what or who. Mutagi, do you think it's possible that he somehow was in Brandy's life, maybe, and I believe he was friends with someone that she had dated at some point, kind of knew who she was, that he does suffer from a delusional disorder and is reading up on this case, studying up on it, and then writing these letters to insert him into the case? And maybe something happened, but at the same time that something happened, he is now trying to insert himself into that?
Well, I think that's difficult. Only and the difficult part about that is the letter that was sent 2 days before. If that letter had not been there, then I could say, like, yes, that's probably a possibility. He read about it, he heard about it, then he inserted himself. But you have a letter that was sent before the murders took place, that she went over next door and she told her neighbor that she was scared because she had received that letter. So that's the corroborating part that's there. That's the part that makes it a little more believable. And like I said, like, even if he's, because of his narcissism and grandiose behaviors, might add some things to it, I don't think it means that he's absolutely not telling the truth.
Let me ask you guys, has anyone here ever been in a case, maybe not your client, maybe the client of someone else or someone involved in a case who was actually guilty but sort of inflated their role in everything and had this type of attitude that we saw from Santos?
I mean, we see delusions of grandeur in people all the time. What was that case recently where it was another Florida case and the defendant took the stand?
Scott Nelson?
Yes, Scott Nelson. I mean, look, some people have the attitude, if I'm going down for this, I'm going down big, and I may as well make myself seem like, the head honcho and like I did everything and this was all on my shoulders if I already know that I've kind of lost the battle with the jury. So maybe that's the kind of case that we have here.
Do you think Los Zetas likes the fact that Santos is giving out names and telling how the whole operation works and what is being done here?
I don't think.
Do you think he's in danger after this testimony?
I don't think they're watching CourtTV and paying attention to this trial.
Oh, I think they're watching.
We've got an app.
Well, they may be watching CourtTV, but I don't think they really care. But if I'm doing closing argument, I would say in my closing, Santos has been in and out of prison. He's been in federal prison for a while. How come the state didn't bring anybody from those prisons to show that he has a long history of psychiatric problems and he's delusional or narcissistic? Because they evaluate you, and when you're in prison and you have problems, it gets noticed.
All right, so you're giving them some ideas for the rebuttal case, which they can still do.
I know they're listening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tanya.
They're watching, right?
Tanya, this man is nutty as a fruitcake, but his story matches the physical evidence a lot better than the state's story. He was credible, reasonable doubt, in my opinion. And that is huge. I mean, and this is someone who is seeing what I'm seeing, but looking at the evidence and saying, yeah, but it matches up.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And the fact is there's a dearth of evidence in the state's case. I think we all agree on that. It's a very, very, very weak case. And so when you look at this, it does match up. It's not like my grandma used to call it coinky-dink. This letter went out beforehand. How do you reconcile that as a prosecutor?
I think they have to reconcile it the way we've been talking, that a lot of this stuff is being reported on, and that's when he's talking about it. But we'll see. We'll see if they're able to do that, because they're going to need to do that. Diane writing, I'm not sure what I think of his testimony, but I don't think the prosecutor made the points they thought they were going to make. The tone of that cross-examination was, unfortunately, a little similar to the tone on the show sometimes, a little sarcastic. How does that play in a courtroom, sarcasm, from a prosecutor?
Not well.
Not well, right?
Don't you remember Casey Anthony in the closing argument? I mean, and then when Jose Baez said, and that guy, remember when he was laughing at him with sarcasm, I think that lost the case for the prosecution in a lot of ways.
Mutaki, you agree? Have you seen prosecutors sometimes get a little too sarcastic and it kind of doesn't fly well with the jury?
I agree, and especially in a town like Tallahassee, small town. The jury's been sitting there for like over a week at this point. I think he's assuming that he has the jury on his side, and if his assumption is right, then they'll be with him on the sarcasm. But if his assumption is wrong, and that they're really paying attention to Santos and at least want to take what he's saying seriously, then he probably lost a few jurors. If he hadn't lost all of them already by now, he probably lost a few by being that way with that witness.
You're a prosecutor, and it's a death penalty case, you're trying to take someone's life. There's no place for sarcasm. This is about as serious as anything you're ever going to do. The defense can be a little funny, a little sarcastic, break up a little bit of the tension in the courtroom. Prosecutor sarcastic from the jury, I think it falls
better off in just being in straight attack
just be
mode.
Straightforward.
Always.
Do your case. Get up, get down, move forward.
Louise writing, he is one card short of a full deck. He was hard to follow, jumping around like a jackrabbit. Does his testimony hold water? I don't know about that, but could confuse enough to cause reasonable doubt. I always hear this the phrase, we're going to muddy up the waters.
Right.
These waters are beyond mud.
They're murky.
I mean, these are the muddiest, murkiest waters I've ever been in covering a case on Court TV, because usually there's two versions or three versions of a case. There's the prosecution, the defense version. The third version is what you guys are saying online. I think in this case there might actually be that third version. I think there's something in between all of this that may be the truth. And I'm very frustrated when we're not getting to the truth in a case. Aja writing tonight, he has nothing to gain except the death penalty for his testimony. He could have all the mental disorders in the DSM and it still wouldn't justify his testimony. The roles seem reversed in this case. The defense attorneys are supplying all the evidence and the prosecutors trying to poke holes in the defense evidence. The state dropped the ball. Let Henry Segura go home.
Wow.
You're starting a hashtag, Vinny.
I'm not starting the hashtag, but the folks at home are.
Yeah, definitely.
We all know. Obviously the defense knows their case is a good case to begin with, and now they want to blow a hole through the state's case by presenting evidence. So they don't have to do that at all, but they're doing that, and they're trying to they don't want another mistrial, they don't want a hung jury, they want Segura to go home.
And in all fairness, I just want to emphasize once again, and I hope the jury does the same thing. The defense does not have to prove that Santos or anyone else did this beyond a reasonable doubt. They just have to provide a reasonable alternative explanation of this evidence. That's all, and that equals not guilty. That's the only way our system works. Julia writing, he was very convincing. I really don't think the state tripped him up at all. He corrected the prosecutor several times. His testimony scored more points for the defense. Again, Mutaki, I don't know if you've watched Court TV in the past or been on our social media pages, but generally speaking, the Court TV viewer, follower, is probably 95% of the time with the prosecution. Right. And I'm hearing a lot of folks on the other side tonight. What are juries like down in Tallahassee?
In Tallahassee, the juries are pretty like moderate conservative, but they listen. I find that they listen to the evidence. They do hold the state to their burden of proof. What I tell people all the time, the difficulty with this case in the defense, we have that presumption of innocence as a defense, but whenever you have children involved, especially in this case, 3 dead children, innocent mother, single mother that's involved in the way that they died, that makes it difficult for any defendant. I don't care who, they grab anybody off the street and put them on trial for these facts, it's going to be a hard time having that presumption of innocence. So to hear the viewers say this with these facts that are in place, I think that says a lot to the state in this case. And I can tell you locally, there were talks or people saying that, why haven't the state dropped this case by now? Why are they still going forward? All of this evidence that's out there that's going against their theory, and their theory is just so weak. Killing a whole family the way that they were killed, over $20,000 of child support, just doesn't make any sense. So with no evidence, a terrible theory, and juries here that, like I said, that hold the state to their burden, I'm not surprised by the viewers kind of shifting positions and being pro-defense. And I tell you, I'm glad to see it.
All right. When we come back, though, Who had a better day, the prosecution or defense? The think tank will have to answer that for us.
We got one of those new purple mattresses, and it is amazing. You have to try it.
You didn't need to.
Shh. Just lie down.
Oh, this doesn't feel like memory foam.
No.
This feels amazing.
Right?
What is it?
Actually, it's called Purple, and it's nothing like memory foam. It's a totally unique gel grid technology, meticulously designed to cradle and support the human body. It sleeps cool, it's motion isolating, and honestly, I love it more than 2 of my 3 children.
Cool.
We loved our Purple so much, we got one for the guest bedroom. That way, when my in-laws come, they can stay in my bed and I can come.
Okay, feel that? Adapts instantly.
Honey!
Oh, hey, honey. Yeah, so just showing the guys the new purple mattress.
For a limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
20 years ago, millions worldwide discovered a fitness phenomenon, the Ab Doer. Now meet the next generation, Ab Doer 360. It combines an abdominal and muscle activating workout with aerobics to burn calories and work muscles simultaneously.
It's really great to get that cardio workout in while you're also sculpting your muscles.
The secret is the patented core support column that works the major muscles of your midsection. It features breakthrough innovations like the dynamic fluidity seat that engages your abdominal core and burns calories.
I got on that machine the first day and went, this is going to do the job.
In fact, research shows the Abdoer 360 activates the same muscles as the gold standard crunch, but off the floor in padded comfort. Now it's your turn. The next generation Abdoer 360 fitness system from Thane.
To get yours now, go online at abdoer360.com or visit these fine online retailers.
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aides, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-497-5903. That's 1-800-497-5903 now.
Best Fiends. Meet Bandit, the not-so-sneaky slug. Join the adventure. Collect tons of cute characters and solve thousands of fun puzzles. Download free today. That's friends without the R. Best Fiends.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
Hi, I'm Hanno. I created Gabi because most people overpay on car insurance. Gabi is a free tool that saves you money by finding the best deal. Gabi users save more than $800 per year on average. Go to Gabi.com and stop overpaying for car insurance.
Did you know Brandy Peters?
Yes, sir.
How did you know her?
I met her around 2000 or 2001.
Okay, and what was the nature of your relationship with Ms. Peters?
She transported narcotics for me.
At some point, did you end up directing associates of yours to kill Brandy Peters?
Yes, sir, I did.
And why was that?
She had stolen money and drugs.
Do you know how many people were to be involved in carrying out your order?
Yes.
Okay, how many people were to be involved?
7.
Okay.
What did you say? 7. My My objective here is basically to clear my name with my organization so that I can walk a clear compound and not have to go into protective custody, which I haven't done my entire sentence.
The Mexican cartels do not take the loss of merchandise very lightly. Somebody is going to pay somehow. They will generally kill my whole family to let everybody else know this is not acceptable. You know, somebody's going to pay. Their logic is that that child is going to get older later and they become a problem. So they come in, and also they do that to instill fear in not the community, but the underworld. Everything that I reviewed points directly towards the Zetas. And you know, the spade, the way it was placed against the wall, it didn't have any blood, it wasn't used in the murder. It was a clear message, right? So it was all by itself, according to the pictures that I reviewed, next to the lady's body, right, on the wall.
This was a huge case when it happened in Tallahassee. You had 3 children killed. There was pressure to bring this to a conclusion, and imagine getting all of this discovery for this state. Like, whoa, what's going on? I mean, did Carlos, they went and interviewed him right away because of that letter. They found that letter at the house, and it was threatening. So they go interview him, and obviously like, ooh, no, he didn't do it. And then they shift, and Henry's lying about everything, and so he probably did it. But then the physical evidence comes back supporting Santos.
Did you make any determination about whether Mr. Avila was included as a contributor to this mixture?
Yes, I could not exclude him as a contributor.
Mr. Avila Quinones at VWA is 1718. So out of these 4 alleles, there is a 17 and 18. So he would be included there.
And say that Mr. Avila is included as a contributor to that mixture, is that right?
Yes, and it is significant to me that even the starred alleles, he has those alleles also.
And you were able to exclude all 4 victims and Mr. Segura from being a contributor to that partial profile, correct?
That's correct.
The Vice Lord's based out of Chicago, and this was his way, by coming forward, taking responsibility, this was his way to, quote, clear his name with the organization by taking responsibility and taking care of Brandy Peters, who was allegedly stealing drugs from the organization.
Day 5 in the books, but who had a better day, the prosecution or defense? Let's bring back in the think tank, and we begin with Mutaki Akbar down in Tallahassee. Prosecution or defense today?
Vinny, that's easy. I think it's definitely the defense. What was clear to me was the DNA evidence. When Jo Ellen Brown testified, when she identified Avila as the person who that DNA belonged to, and the prosecution just couldn't cross her or discredit her as much as they tried to. And then on redirect, they were able to point out how the state was practically trying to hide that evidence from coming out. I think that was a big, big win for the defense with Jo Ellen Brown, and it really bolstered and corroborated everything that they were presenting as far as their theory goes.
Ashley McMahan, prosecution or defense today?
The defense put out more evidence than the prosecution. Defense all the way.
All right, Lawrence Zimmerman, prosecution or defense?
I will go with the defense tonight, and obviously for the same reasons. I mean, they obviously put up a really strong case, and they're showing somebody else did it, and there's a lot of reasonable doubt, and they're showing a link to a drug cartel.
Are we unanimous? Ann Bremner?
Unanimous. That's my verdict. I think it's all of ours. And I think they just had a wonderful day, trifecta. When you've got the gang expert, you have Santos, and you have the DNA. It doesn't get much better than that for the defense.
All right, that was day 5. Let's look ahead to what is in store for tomorrow.